This is the second video in an initial series of 5 videos that are quick sort of Senate 101 how-to on some various moves that you would need for the Senate floor to be effective and to be comfortable navigating that space. Especially on Zoom, it can be difficult to sort of even just ask someone sitting next to you for insight. So hopefully these videos will help. We'll add more videos and encourage others to add more videos as things come around or as requests come in. But this is an initial group of 5 videos. And this one is, let's say the conversation is going on the Senate floor and you want to move to a vote right now. This is also called calling the previous question for reasons that, according to Robert's rules, have to do with something having to do with British Parliament, which I know nothing about and do not care that much about. So if you want to know more about why it's called that, I would suggest looking online. But it is important for me to emphasize that when somebody says calling the previous question, or sometimes people just say call the question, but it's the language of calling the previous question, again, related to something in British Parliament. It has nothing to do with actually a question that was previously asked on our Senate floor, so I find that confusing. I just want to highlight for you so that you don't find it confusing, and I would therefore recommend that, I am for this video going to call it moving to vote or move to vote now, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means, but if you hear people calling the question, you'll understand that they're referring to what we're talking about in this video. Okay, so remember from our first video, what we have on the floor is Saul's trampoline motion. He wants a trampoline in Sturm Hall, and that was raised and seconded. Okay, so one of the things that might happen when the discussion is opened, right? When the motion is raised, the motion is seconded, then I, as the president, had opened it up to the Senate floor, and there's discussion and the debate. Lots of people are debating about whether there should be a trampoline, whether it should be in Sturm Hall or in a different hall, whether it should be in the library, whether it should be in, in the gym. Some people are arguing that it's a health hazard. Some people are arguing that it's a very wonderful opportunity for community building. Okay, we have a whole series of discussions going. One option is that the discussion on the Senate floor winds down on its own. Nobody has anything further to say, in which case, as the president, I might say something like, I see the discussion seems to have ended. Are there any objections to moving to a vote? And at that point, if somebody objects, that they want to continue the conversation, then we can take it from there. But that would be one scenario where the conversation winds down on its own, or I might see, that there is some conversation that has already been started about people talking about why are we still talking about this. So I might also say, are there any objections to moving to a vote? But at any time that I say, are there any objections to moving to a vote? If you still want there to be debate and discussion, you should object and say, I object, right? So that's important to have that opportunity. And on Zoom, I would encourage, when I say, are there any objections to moving to a vote, I would encourage you to raise your hand on Zoom, and I would then call on you, because then we know for our records which senator is speaking. Okay. The other option, though, is that the Senate conversation doesn't even wind down in any way that would lead to any sort of obvious sense that maybe this is a time to move to a vote. Maybe the discussion is in full swing and people are really hotly debating whether it should be in Sturm Hall or outdoors, okay? And in that case, you, as a senator, whether you raise the motion or not, you might feel like enough is enough. I think it's time to vote now. This conversation is either we've heard the same arguments a bunch of times, or this is really, working people up in a way that is unhelpful at this time, or for whatever reason, or, this is something that's we obviously should have a trampoline in Sturm Hall. I don't know why we need to discuss this anymore, right? Whatever the reason is, you might want to put an end to the discussion and move to vote on the trampoline motion now. So that's the idea that we're talking about. So in such a case, you would raise your hand, and as the president, I would recognize you and call on you. At that time, you would say, I move to vote on the trampoline motion now, or I move the previous question. That's, again, a way that it might be put, but just for clarity, let me say I move to vote on the trampoline motion now. So what happens if you say that? So first of all, you have the opportunity to say that. What happens when you say that? Well, then I ask, do I have a second? Because again, you are now moving something. You've created now, if you see, there's two motions. Now there's the motion, Saul's trampoline motion is on the floor, but now there's your motion to vote on the trampoline motion now. So I need a second on that motion. And so I ask for a second, and let's say we get a second. So here's the thing about moving to vote on the motion, or this move the previous question. When that is raised and it's seconded, it cannot be debated. It means that at that moment, the discussion on the floor, I as the president announce that the discussion on the floor officially comes to a close, and I have to, as president, administer a Senate-wide vote on whether 2/3 of us agree with these two senators who made this moving to vote now and seconded it. I have to vote, I have to issue a Senate-wide vote not on Saul's trampoline motion, but on whether 2/3 of us agree that we should vote right now on Saul's trampoline motion. So if you understand that, right, we're not voting right now on the trampoline motion. We're voting as a Senate. I will call a vote immediately as a Senate to see whether 2/3 of us agree that the trampoline discussion needs to stop, and that what needs to happen is that we need to vote on the trampoline motion. But this is a vote as to whether we are going to stop the conversation about the trampoline and move immediately to vote on the trampoline. And we need 2/3 of senators to agree to that. And so here again, I might say something like, it's been moved and seconded that we, that we end the conversation about Saul's trampoline motion and that we vote on it right now. I need to know how many senators agree with that sentiment. I need to know how many senators agree that we should vote on Saul's trampoline motion immediately without any further discussion. And if 2/3 of us agree on that, then we immediately move to vote on Saul's trampoline motion right then and there. If 2/3 of us don't agree on that, then the conversation about Saul's trampoline motion goes back into action on the floor. Okay, so that's the end of this video. The next video will look at what happens if you want to postpone a motion. So I'm going to end this video, and you can join video 3 if you'd like to continue with that topic.